Hi, I'm Leon Milnes. Welcome to the next episode of Adam Asks, a remote episode of Adam Asks, a first for us. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, we all find ourselves in extremely strange, unique, and unprecedented times. Today's podcast is therefore all about mindset, and in particular, how to remain positive, how to overcome adversity, and how to lead in a crisis. With that in mind, I'm hugely fortunate to have a very experienced guest in all the aforementioned, Mr. Martin Murphy. How are you doing?
All right, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How's your family? You all safe, fit, and healthy, I hope?
Yes, we're in the countryside, so it's easier for us. Literally, the countryside's 20 meters away, so yeah, out and about, but staying well away from people. It's good.
Great stuff. So, Murph, cast your mind back nearly 12 months. You were my very first guest on our podcast when we launched nearly a year ago.
Podcast virgins, weren't we? That was
We
it.
were. I think we've done a few since then. But isn't it crazy to think how the world has been turned upside down since then?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
it's nuts. So I'm certain we've got loads of great stuff to talk about over the next half hour or so, with lots of great advice and practical tips to share to help business leaders adapt and evolve through COVID-19. But first and foremost, let's kick off by you giving us a reminder of who you are and why you might be an authority on these topics.
Okay, well, I'm Martin Murphy. I coach elite teams and introduce elite teams into businesses, and also help business owners become business leaders by developing and designing and leading these elite teams, if you like. And I got into that because, if you like, my mountain of value is the fact that I've always been involved with small, high-performing teams. It started off with me running away from home, which again, really challenging upbringing, and sort of joined the army to get myself on the straight and narrow, if you like. But I've had to be really reliant. Self-reliant from a very early age because of my background. And then I joined the military, not one for authority, which, you might think that's strange, joining the military. So straight away I engineered it so that I ended up in what they call the reconnaissance platoon, which is all small teams. And we're always at the front of it. So, immediate action drills were the mainstay of that kind of thing, working together in a cohesive unit and obviously reacting, responding appropriately. And then later on, I trained with the SAS and thought, yes, I'd really like to do that. So I later joined the SAS. And then after I thought, I don't want to become institutionalized, so I left there and worked with airlines around the world, doing risk and threat assessments, that kind of thing, training teams to operate to counter terrorism and narcotics smuggling and all the other things that goes on in airlines. More recently wrote a book called From Mercenaries to Missionaries, because as I evolved, I then, as I said, went into business coaching, training, advising. And so I wrote a book, Mercenaries to Missionaries, which is all about developing and designing, leading high-performing teams in a growing business.
Great, brilliant. So I think it's fair to say you've witnessed a lot of unexpected things happen in both your life and your career. But I guess my first question is, how have you seen people react to sudden shock, and how does this affect their ability to make decisions? And most importantly, I guess, make the right decisions?
Okay. Well, to be honest, this is the kind of challenge that we're not very good at. Our inner monkey will still react instantly to, something coming straight at us. What we're not very good at is problems that are arriving, from the horizon. We think we've got plenty of time. So if you have a look at like the pandemic, we knew that something was like this was going to happen. We haven't really prepared for it. We just kind of ignored it. We go into denial. We've got the problems with global warming, all sorts of inequality, all these challenges in society. and throughout the world, but we're not reacting to them really as quickly as we could do. We're not treating them with the seriousness. And so there wasn't a fight, flight, freeze situation with this. It was, oh, something's happening. Oh, what's happening? And that delay is a real problem when you come to emergency situations, as you can imagine. And, poor old Boris is now in hospital, unfortunately. And, perhaps if he'd reacted and responded early enough, perhaps he'd be out here leading the country and having his Churchill moments in this situation. But as it is, poor guy's he's gone down with it, which is, just shows you really that even sort of, at the strategic level, we're not really operating as well as we could do probably.
Okay, cool. And what coping mechanisms have you seen people adopt to help them get through this on both a mental and practical level?
Well, you mean through companies or just individuals?
Just generally, people to get through a crisis.
Well, the thing is, when we go into something like this, what we tend to do is be more of who we already are. So if we talk business kind of types, your entrepreneur will be more entrepreneurial, might be kind of tackling this situation head on and, jumping in, taking on the challenge. You hear about a lot of this kind of language, it's a war, let's get stuck in. And then you got, the managers that will try to analyse the situation more, which is good, let's find out about it. So that's a response. So some people will react straight away and tackle it head on. Some people will respond by analysing. Some people, like the coaching kind of people, will be more, they'll contribute more of themselves. So, immediately what you've seen is an absolute brilliant response from people in the health service and all the support. These guys joined, ladies and gentlemen, joined for this kind of thing. And you see people coming out of retirement. They're over, but the problem is they're over contributing, perhaps giving more of themselves and actually exposing themselves to danger quite a lot. And then you've got the other people that will be, looking for the opportunities, which good, looking for new ways of doing things, So that's what you kind of see. We tend to be more of who we are when we're faced with something like this, and some of it's useful, some of it isn't useful at this particular time. Jumping in right now, you should react to make sure that you're safe, but then you should respond, then regroup, and then reroute.
So I don't know if you just answered this question actually for my next question, but on a business level, or I guess any level, what does good leadership in a crisis really look like, and what are you seeing at the moment? What are you witnessing at the moment?
Well, I'm advising one of my clients, Sun IT. I'm really proud of the way they've responded. They did the right thing. They just reacted straight away to get their staff out the building and set up remotely. And even at an individual level, this is a complex situation. People are complex, and so it's not one solution fits all. But they actually looked at sending people back home abroad, across the water type of thing, so that they could, be with their family. So their response from that perspective is really good. You should really look after the people more so than the paradigm or the ideology or whatever, because the people will be the ones that save the paradigm afterwards. So if it's a business, so look after the people. They did that. And then because you're trying to increase confidence, when people are uncertain, they start filling in the blanks. So communication's a big thing. So team communication and individual communication. Get people involved in the decision making. Don't try to be the font of all, if you're the leader or business owner, don't try to be the font of all knowledge. Ask the team. And what that does, empowered people respond and behave in a different way. They're more confident, proactive, helpful, feel more resilient, more optimistic, because what you're doing by empowering them, you're actually lowering the cortisol, which creates this anxiety, but increasing testosterone even in females. And so that gives them that the neurotransmitters they need to actually operate in this kind of situation. And basically you've got to develop this community identity so that we are all in this. You've seen some of this in the news, but fortunately with Sun IT, we've been doing some work around this kind of stuff. And like you guys have done, you've got your compass. They're your first principles. That's what's really useful in a situation like this. Because, you go back to the compass. These are our first principles. This is how we're going to make decisions.
Yeah.
We'll ask people to have an input. And then, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, it's great to hear what Sun IT are doing. Obviously, I know Barry and the team really well down there, but I'd say a lot of the people that I know within business and friends who run businesses have really stepped up to the plate from a leadership perspective and put the health and well-being of their business, of their employees in the business as their number one priority. Yeah. And then the second priority is how the hell do we navigate our way through these choppy and turbulent testing times and come out a with a business, and secondly with a business that we can bounce back. So that's great to hear. So on the flip side, Murph, how about bad leadership in a time of crisis? How does that manifest itself?
I don't think you should be asked me this one. Okay. So when you're in a situation like this, as I said before, we become more of who we are, and what you really don't want is an ex-special forces gung ho influential person on media saying ignore all expert advice, go shaking hands, go out and about with people, giving it that gung ho thing, because they
I don't know who you're referring to there. Well, no, but I might do.
But stick to your lane type of thing. Okay?
Correct.
Stick to your lane, and it doesn't help. Even world leaders, the ones that are just going out and going, well, I flaunt it, and just dismissing it because they're so they've got the priorities wrong in this. With whatever business you're in, they're in the people business first, and so therefore protect the people, and then the people will protect the business and bring everything back. You're causing yourself a problem with that. So there's been lots of I should imagine there's been lots of negative examples out there, and it's really around this thing of like not being situationally blind, if you like. Might call it paradigm blindness, but not having a real situational awareness, but then still pontificating about what people should be doing. Stick to your lane. Let the experts tell you what to do. I always say, push the power to the front lines. We haven't been hearing about managers in the NHS. We've been hearing about people on the front line, and that's what it's all about. They should be telling us what we need to be doing. Same with you in the business situation. Your team, even though they're remote, could be talking to your clients. They should be telling you as business owners and whoever's controlling the situation, what resources they need and how they need setting up and stuff like that. Top-down leadership is not a good thing in this situation. Really, you need to, stick to your lane, get the expert so you can respond properly. Obviously, react straight away and get out of danger, but then respond, and then of course regroup, make sure everyone's okay, and then start looking. There'll be opportunities from this. I would love to know how many people would actually prefer that some of the good changes that have happened stay like that, like pollution go down and, stress and well-being sort of thing. What are the things that I think the government should have done straight away? And this isn't a political point. I don't agree with politics. It's false dichotomy. It's like saying right hand and left hand. They should work together all the time. But the first thing they should have done was like, boom, universal basic income, everyone gets paid. As soon as you do that, right, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Everyone's equal. What have they done? They've gone like top down, trickle down economics, which has never worked. Putting up barriers in front of people. Oh, you can get some money if this, and it's gone straight to the banks who said, take out a loan. What are you paying your taxes for then? Yeah, I told you, don't get me.
Right.
Don't let me person to ask on that one.
I'm going to wind you back in. So above and beyond good, strong leaders needing to be level-headed, and by thinking correctly under the most extreme pressure during critical situations, what other traits and behaviours do the best and most effective leaders also exhibit, do you think?
Yeah, good one. Hold on. So in situations like this, we're often used to having a command and control, kind of living in a command and control, and we kind of, we look up to these leaders. The best leaders, actually, leadership is just leveraging the potential. Archimedes said, give me a place strong enough, give me a lever long enough and a place strong enough, and I'll lift the world. And the lever is leadership, and the place to stand is humility. And so, as we said, you've got to be supportive, but also decisive. You've got to be thinking about the opportunities, challenge the status quo, that kind of thing, and also be a good problem solver in situations like this. So, but really, you want the team or people to be empowered. So how do you support them? How do you, you need to show emotional resilience. When you look at people's individuals situation, look at the whole person, not some widget that works for you, but how's this person, and make decisions like that. Be supportive, leverage the potential that you've got within your team, align them. If you're good at aligning and creating a vision so that they've got a mission and purpose, immediately, right, what's our purpose? Why is this important? Why is it important to save this business? Well, we've all got to live afterwards, sort of thing, Be radical open in the communication. So you need to have the courage and the vulnerability. The courage to be vulnerable so that you can say, right, I'm not a font of all knowledge. How are we going to get out of this one? So, it's that kind of, it's really important. As I said, we used to command and control, but it's really how do we connect, collaborate, and communicate effectively.
So you might argue then, Murph, that it's the same as leadership when you're not in a crisis, but you're just doing lots more of it. Absolutely.
You should be doing this anyway. As leaders, you should be leveraging the potential of others. It's how high you can lift other people. That's the true purpose of leadership. Engage people from the earliest opportunity. Align them towards a mission and a purpose. Direct the balance of power to them, so they become empowered. Evolve. The situation at the moment is emerging. So you've got to be decisive, but you've also got to see decision making as an evolving process. And radically open communication. Treat people like adults.
Yeah, brilliant. And which leads me to my next question of, obviously in tough and hugely uncertain times like now, I'm a very strong and passionate believer that humans have got the capacity to not only adapt and evolve, but also thrive in crisis.
Yeah.
It'd be great if you could share some examples of how you can empower your team to help your business survive.
Well, I go with this hero mindset. You try and encourage not only for yourself, but in other words. And HERO is an acronym for helpful, effective, resilient, and optimistic. So try and encourage those kind of things. Promote positive behaviors in people. Acknowledge people when they're doing the right sort of things. But helpful. The reason why being helpful is really important. There was an Austrian psychologist called Viktor Frankl. You may have heard of him. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And what he found was that people in the prison camps, if they had a sense of purpose, like I'm going to get out of this and to help find my family, I'm going to get out and tell the world about this so it doesn't happen again. You've got to have a purpose outside yourself. So being helpful outside of yourself is why, you almost stop worrying about it yourself, because you're worried about, your focus is outside of yourself. So it reduces your anxiety. So being purpose driven is very effective. So being helpful, being effective, as I said before, about, find out what people's strengths are. Okay, how can they help in other ways? It's not just what their job is, but they'll have other strengths as well. Everyone's adapting, even me. I've started doing webinars, and a proper Luddite like me is having to evolve and be effective.
Good. We're all learning new skills, aren't we? We're all upskilling in ways that we never thought that we would have to. So we're finding ways of just bettering ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. And, we don't want to lose what we've learned on this sort of thing, so be optimistic that we are going to get through this. And, I always say that the gold is in the grit and the diamonds are in the dirt. In amongst all this, there's going to be some golden nuggets. And what we don't want to do is to business as usual completely. I think we need to evolve from this. Does that answer it?
I think it's a great time for businesses to sit back, reflect, reset, and have a really good think about phase 2 recovery, get through this, but then phase 3, how are you going to reinvent yourselves? And we're definitely undertaking that process at the moment. I think business will have changed forever off the back of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why you should. They have a thing in the military and the intelligence world where if they're trying to defend a situation, they have red team thinking, which is basically they set up another team and go, right, well, what will we do if we're on the opposite side? And it's kind of like that now. At the moment, we're in the responding stage. It's emerging, so you've got to keep analysing the situation, regrouping, making sure well-being's okay. That as I say, like Sun IT, I'm coaching a lot of their guys to make sure that social isolation isn't a problem. But further down the line, maybe, or even start the process now. Where's the opportunity in this? What have you learned from this? And start. This is an overview of where we are, and this is a kind of optimal state moving forward. How do we get there? Let's look for these opportunities.
Great stuff. And over the past 4 weeks, I think it's pretty fair to say we've all been through an absolute roller coaster of emotions. I think huge amounts of shock in that first week. But what do you think is the best way, or how do you think is the best way to remain level-headed and make good decisions when you're in a crisis?
So going back to that, I use the 4R of resilience sort of thing, but it's the once you've reacted and got people out of the way of danger, or you've responded and whatever, and then you reorg, you then you need to respond, okay? And from that, to respond, we don't always have to make decisions straight away. They don't have to be immediate decisions, although we might feel like that because we got wound up in the moment of reacting. And they don't have to be definitive, okay? It's an emergent situation, so your decision making should be evolving all the time. So suspend, I use the if in doubt SOAR, which is again an acronym I use a lot. I know this acronym well. You've taught us this one over the years. The first thing to do is suspend making a decision. Just suspend making a decision and just observe the situation and get the right information, credible information that you need. Build up your situational awareness of the situation. And then this is kind of like a struggle phase where you're looking at it, analysing it, maybe testing some ideas, but just let go of it for a bit and go for a walk. Okay, so this is again looking at neurotransmitters. We want anandamide, which makes connections across various edges, and there'll be lots of that going on at the moment. Someone over here in this kind of situation or business will be doing something, and then someone might do something over here. So start making connections, and what this does, it just allow time for wisdom to percolate. Go for a walk, get away from it if you can. I know within the government guidelines, go for a walk, do something, even washing the dishes or something. Do something that it's called hypotransient frontalis. You just cut off the inner chatter for a bit and just do something mundane or nice, or meditate or do some exercise. And then you will find that ideas start popping up, and then respond quickly. If you wake up with a great idea, have a pen and paper by your bed, write this one down, and then test it, go out and do something about it, but then immediately goes into the evaluation process once you get it going. But yeah, right. If in doubt, so yeah.
Yeah, lots of really practical stuff there. So Murph, I'm looking at the future now. I'm going to ask you a bit of a stargazing question that when we do eventually get to this crisis, you might not have any predictions, but what predictions might you have for the future in business or in life?
Well, we need, there's 5 conditions that we kind of need to transform the way we are. So, and we tend not to do this preemptively. But first of all, we need to be disillusioned with the way the situation is at the moment, which I should imagine most people are. You have to have an insight to a better world. Okay, so we need to be thinking, right, well, what does the future look like? And for everyone's, who's got their own business, what's our business going to look like in the future? What would be a good thing? How can we maintain some of the benefits? Then you need to be either inspired or motivated. We didn't respond really well to this, I don't think, because we didn't respond until we felt the pain of it, because we're comfortably uncomfortable in our comfort zones, I call it. What I think we need to do is be more inspired to act before the poo-poo hits the fan, as it were. So at the moment, I'm hoping, and these are hopes, that we don't have such polarization in society, because we've got a conservative government that's espousing and implementing socialist ideals type of thing. As I said before, politics is just pointless. We've got a right hand and a left hand. What's the point of putting one behind while you go in circles with this one? Get them working together. I think that, we need to get away from the self-interested parties and the media. That's a big problem. It's not helping sometimes, because if you can't get onto, if you can't, depending on what you believe depends on where you're getting your information from. So that's something that leaders need to be more aware of and build up their situational awareness. I think people will see more leaders. Leaders. I think the leaders are just ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. They're kind of leading themselves and others by example into a better world for everyone. And I think that's what we need to do. It needs to be more socially just, environmentally sustainable, and a personally fulfilling place to live and work, really. I think a new style of leadership is really necessary. We keep talking about it, but it needs to go down to people. People need to understand it. Effective leadership needs to be, like we're seeing now on the front lines, as we say, with the NHS and stuff. So I'm hoping that more of that will happen.
That's great. I guess what I'm seeing from, as I say, from other leaders that I know well is just try and keep calm. Try and give people confidence and faith during this pandemic and the fear. We as leaders won't have all the answers. No one's got all the answers. It's a movable feast every hour, isn't it? But be honest, things are changing, and do your best for, given the constant change of circumstances, and encourage support and just give optimism, really, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. It's really, they say, don't they, that a crisis doesn't develop leaders. People just become aware of who the leaders are in situations like this. And I think if you look at the way people responded, apart from, the people dashing out and competing for toilet rolls, which is real monkey brain behavior, most people have been responding by collaborating, communicating, and contributing more of themselves. And that social and emotional intelligence is where we need to focus and not have so much top-down hierarchy that's too slow to react to things like this.
Yeah, that's great. Murph, I think we're just about rounding up. Have you got any more last-minute advice or practical tips, insights that you can maybe share, or do you think you've sort of shared everything there?
Well, I've got I've written a thing Yeah, there's a PDF on the website that people can download. Maybe I'll give you the link if you like.
Just share the link now, Murph, while we're on. So if people have got pen and paper while they're listening, they can just.
Well, if you go to martinmurphy.coach, you'll see somewhere about leading teams and leading yourself through challenging times. So you can download that PDF. If you send me an email, ask@martinmurphy.coach. If you're interested, I've got a digital copy that I can send out to people if they're interested of the book. That's my contribution at the moment. So if you want a digital, it's better getting a hard copy because you can use it like an aid memoir and make notes. But if you fancy a digital copy, there might be some stuff in there that might be helpful. Send me an email, ask@martinmurphy.coach, and I'll be doing a mission power meeting process soon that'll be coming out online. So stay tuned for that.
Great stuff. Well, Murph, thank you so much for not only your time, but also for all your amazing insights. And I'm pretty sure all our listeners will have found your advice hugely useful. And I'm sure it'll help us all navigate our way through these hugely turbulent and worrying times. So I guess in conclusion, wherever you are, stay safe. Please follow the local guidelines and advice. Look after yourselves and your families. And we look forward to catching up with you all hopefully when normal life resumes. Cheers.